Welcome back to Library Choice YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful structured bony sleeve. So we used bony to give this a structure, and we also used interfacing. It's very simple to make, and it's really beautiful. If this is what you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this now, I'll be working with a length of 7 inches. Okay, so I have 14 inches here because I want to cut the lining and the main fabric together. So the 7 inches is going to be my length, and the width of this will be the measurement of where you want to place this design. Okay, so you just need to measure that space round, and for me I have 28 inches, so I added 1 inch allowance to make it 29 inches. So now I'm cutting the front and back together, and then I'm going to be putting it on fold like this. So once I put it on fold, I'll have my 7 inches that I want to use. Okay, so I have 7 inches here now. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is, if you look at the picture very well, you will notice that the front part of this design is a bit tapered, is tiny, while the back is broader than the front. Okay, so to achieve that a bit tiny design, I'm going to note the midpoint of this. Okay, so I'm just going to measure this now, and then I'm going to fold my tape rule into two so that I can know the midpoint. So here is the middle of this design. Okay, before I do that, I'm going to fold this again into two. Okay, so this is the first folding, this is the front, this is the back. So now to shape this side so that I'll have something equal on both sides, I'm going to be folding this into two again, and then I'm going to note my midpoint. So here will be my front part, and this other part here is what I'm going to be using as my back, or you can do it any other way you want. So now for the front, on this fold point here, I'm going to be measuring 2 inches. Okay, so I have 2 inches here, and then I'm going to take my ruler and then connect the 2 inches from this point to the midpoint. Okay, so once it is connected, I'll take my scissors and then I'm going to cut it out carefully, that shape that you have there. Okay, so after cutting this out now, I'm going to be detaching my front from my back, from the excess, that from the back part that I've not shaped. Okay, so on the back part, the front and back is still joined together, so I'm cutting them now so that I'll have them separate. So now after cutting this is what I have. This is going to be for my front and this is for my back, and you can see that this front part here is a bit narrower compared to the back part. So now to add structure to this, I'm going to be, you should use like a collar stay or a peplum stay. If you have hard strong collar stay, it's fine, you can use it, and or you have a peplum stay, but I only have gum stay, so which means I'll be gumming it to the both sides. But I don't really advise that you gum to your main fabric, because there is this structure that interfacing gives fabric that I don't really like. So if you have collar stay that you know is strong, you just need to gum it to your lining, you don't need to add it to both sides. But because I'm using a gum stay, I'm using it to the lining, and then to further add structures to it, I'm going to be using this Reggiline boning on one side. Okay, I'm going to be adding Reggiline boning to one side of this, because if you look at the picture very well, you'll see that on the other side there is like a trimming there. So I'll be using this trimming to decorate the other side. So this boning will be on one side, while this trimming is going to be on the other side. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to take this to the iron now and add my interfacing to it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to add my interfacing to this now, as we can see. So this is what I was talking about. In fact, because I was really careful with this, if not, this interface just give it like all these rumpled effects that you will not have if you're using the original fabric without interfacing. So that's why I advise that you just add interfacing to the lining part. So So the next thing I'm going to do now is to add my boning to this. Okay, so I'm going to be adding boning to one side of this like this. Then after adding the boning, I'm going to add the boning by sewing on it. I hope you know that this is a regular boning, you can actually sew on it. So I'm just going to place it, and then I'm going to sew it to secure it to this. Then after securing it, I'm going to use this to turn out each other. Then I'll bring it back to show us. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it now. You can see this is my boning on one side. Then I used the line, I put the lining and the main fabric against each other. Then I just sew it like this to conceal these rough edges. So we are only left with this part. So now I'm just going to notch it a bit, and then I'm going to turn it out. Okay, so when you're adding your boning, you make sure that you don't add up to this edge, so that you could be able to sew it and turn it out. So now I'm going to be turning this out. Then after turning it, I'll take it back to the sewing machine now, and then sew it again. Okay, and then I'll take it back to the ironing table and then give it a good press all over again. Okay, so there are two things I'm going to be doing there. I'm going to iron this place so that it can be flat and nice. Then after ironing it, okay, so this is the right side. So after ironing it, I'm also going to be folding in the seam allowance here like this. Okay, so I'll be folding in the seam allowance all the way around like that, so that I can add my trimming to it. So I'll go and iron it now, then bring it back to show us. Okay, so I've gone ahead to iron it out now, and then I folded in my seam allowance. So now I'm going to take this trimming on the right side. I'm going to be placing the trimming like this now, and then I'm going to sew it on this, so it will also hold the seam allowance that are folded in for me. I'm going to use this trimming to decorate it, and I'll cut another one of this. Then I'm going to take it to the mannequin so that we can see how we'll be styling this. Okay, so it's basically that simple. I'm just placing this on it now. I'm going to be sewing it straight, and then I'm going to be cutting another one of these exactly like this, because there are two of this design on the dress, and then we'll take it to the mannequin to style it. Okay, so the design has been sewn on it now, and you can see the effect that this is giving us. So the last thing to do now is to locate the midpoint of this center front, and then I'm going to be doing a pleat here, just a tiny pleat around here like this. Okay, I still need to give this a proper ironing. I just have to rush this. So I'm just going to be taking a pleat here, and also on this upper part here, I'm also going to be taking a pleat here. Okay, so I'll take it to the machine now and use my stitch to hold this pleat in place before we now take it to the mannequin to see what we have. Okay, so this is what we have. I've held it with pins, and this is what it's looking like now. So when you want to take your measurements, you just need to take your tape rule and measure from here to where you want this design to pass through. So that is how you take measurements for this, and you can see the pleating that we added also. So this is it, and it's very simple to make. This is what it looks like on the side, and the back looks like this, and we also added pleats at the back. It's very simple to make, and it's beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you enjoyed this, kindly give this a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.